Here is your astrological weather update for the weeks ahead. There has been some pretty significant activity happening this week in terms of the planetary alignments. A lot of things that have long-term consequences. Things like new season starting, retrogrades beginning and ending, and also we have a very significant full moon coming up soon. So that's all of what I'll be touching on today. But before I get into all that, I also do want to quickly update you guys on my whole living situation. If you guys have been following me for a long time, then you know that you have heard me talking a lot about my struggles with my current housing, the people that I'm living with, certain tension that I've been experiencing between family members, how it's been my big challenge for the last couple of months. And happy to say that I have finally found a resolution by being able to move out of this house onto a place of my own. Such a milestone. So I just want to say that this is the last time that you guys will be seeing me film with this specific flower background. I know it's been a staple in all of my videos, but this is the last video I'll make here. So really the ending of an era, but I know that my next chapter is going to be so wonderful and so aligned, and I can't wait to show you guys the new apartment as well. It's going to be so cute. And next week, I also do want to make another video kind of updating you guys on really what happened with my whole housing situation and how I use astrology to essentially predict when these things will happen. So all of that content will come next week. But for now, let me update you guys on the important astrological weather of the week. So the first important event that I want to update you guys on is the fact that we have officially entered a brand new season. The sun entered Cancer on June 20th, and so we will be in Cancer season for the next month. A brand new time of life. This is really quite a shift from Gemini season where we just were. Gemini is an air sign, so they tend to be very active, very social. Geminis love to get out there and see the world and learn new things. So I definitely feel like last season was a time when a lot of us were focusing on having new ideas of where we want to go or the things we want to study, where we want to get to. I definitely heard from a lot of you guys that you have had new aha moments or insights. You've been reading or learning about something that's been really interesting to you. A lot of you guys have also been socializing and networking with certain people who will help you achieve your goals. So we did all the Gemini work of engaging with the external world, figuring out new ideas, receiving downloads on our next steps. This was all heightened by the fact that we just had Mercury retrograde in Gemini. But now with all these new ideas and insights and just like understanding of where we want to go, all of our new connections that we have just made, now is the time to really figure out how to root all of these new connections into our souls. Which of your ideas are actually worth pursuing or actually worth putting energy and effort into? Which of your ideas do you want to use to build a foundation for the future? And the big theme of Cancer season is focusing on building a greater sense of safety and security, whether that means physically in your home or financially with your money, emotionally with past traumas. But now is the time to seek safety, security, and a sense that we have the earth underneath us supporting our steps and supporting our actions. We really want to find a place of belonging. Again, whether that means with family or with our money or just even within ourselves. And hopefully we get to a place where we feel safe enough to do the Leo thing next month. Next season is Leo season. That is a time when we are encouraged and challenged to step out of our comfort zone, to roar like the lion. And we can't get to that place until we do the Cancer work of figuring out how supported we feel, how safe we feel, and how we have a foundation to fall back on that gives us the sense of safety to take risks. And so that is all what we're trying to get to. And I think one of the first steps to getting to that place of safety is to really give yourself permission to honor your emotions and to actually even listen to your emotions. Cancer is a water sign, so they are all about our internal world, how we feel, what makes us feel safe and cared for and nurtured. And in many ways, modern society almost encourages us to not listen to our emotions. They encourage us to go to work, even if it makes us feel shitty, even if we dread it, even if it makes us completely unhappy. There are so many things from the outside world that actually encourage us to completely ignore our emotions and ignore our well-being. Cancer season reminds us that it is sometimes important to prioritize our internal health over external success or material accomplishments. And so hopefully you guys feel permission to listen to yourself this month, to listen to how you feel, to not pressure yourself to do anything you don't want to, especially if it is out of fear or obligation or duty. But there's definitely a sense that one of the first and best things that we can be doing this month is to really focus on honoring our emotions and actually listening to ourselves, to our intuition, to our gut knowings. That will all lead us towards a greater sense of safety and belonging. So just in general, during Cancer season, there will be a greater focus on home, your house, your living situation, how good you feel about that. I do think it's really funny that I moved at the very beginning of Cancer season, and I'm really hoping that this incoming energy will help me, feel settled, feel grounded, and feel really excited about what else I can be doing in this new place. So a big focus on home. I definitely have heard from some of you guys who are moving as well. So definitely sending a lot of love and beneficial energy to you guys. There is another big emphasis on the concept of family and our relationships to them. Of course, a big emphasis on your real family, your blood family, but also other people you consider to be family, perhaps your coworkers or your friends. But there's definitely a sense that we need to reflect on whether we are having relationships in our life that feel balanced, that feel supportive, that feel like you are being accepted unconditionally for who you are. With Cancer season, there's definitely a big focus on your parents or other parental figures in your life, but there's definitely a sense that we need to be reflecting on our relationships with them and whether we feel safe around them, whether we feel supportive. I know there are a few of you guys who are going through issues with your parents. This is definitely a time when Cancer season can help us understand our emotions better and understand what we truly want and need from them. And there is a sense that part of the hard work with Cancer is that if our needs are not being met or if our parents are crossing lines, then this is definitely the time to put up boundaries, whether they are physical boundaries or just emotional boundaries. But there is a sense, again, that we really need to prioritize our internal well-being, our own self-care, over those of society or other people who are harming us or being detrimental to us. So just be aware that you are supported in that cosmically. Again, with Cancer season, there are other emphasis on your ancestors, perhaps getting more in touch with your heritage, your cultural roots. There can even be an emphasis on past lives, ancestors from another lifetime. But there's also a big emphasis on emotional security and stability. So if you feel like you've been volatile or moody, your emotions have been all over the place, then this is really a signal to you that there is something in your internal world that is not meshing with your soul. And so this is, again, a call to take time out, take a break, relax, and be able to hear what your soul needs from you. So those are all big themes to consider. There can also be memories coming up from the past. Cancer is a big sign that rules past, childhood, memories. So if any of those themes come up, again, they're only being presented to you because your soul is wanting you to reflect on them and to release any stagnant energy. You can kind of see how Cancer season is sort of similar to a Mercury retrograde, because Mercury retrogrades also have a big focus on rehashing the past or revisiting the past. So again, sort of those same themes continue with Cancer season, but hopefully this will also allow us to really feel grounded, rooted, and safe enough to do more exciting things in our future. With that, The great news of the week is that Mercury retrograde has officially ended. It ended on June 22nd, and so we are getting out of this difficult time when it comes to technology, communication. You may have found that your emails weren't sending or things were being wonky. You may have gotten caught in delays or things just not turning out as they expected. This energy has closed and will continue to die down for the entire week. So again, this is a beautiful signal that we are ready to move forward again. During Mercury retrograde, you may have found that things did not go the way you expected. Perhaps you planned for something to happen and life threw you a curveball. Perhaps you were forced to take a detour or do things in a different way. Just understand that all of these roadblocks or detours, they were really a blessing in disguise, and hopefully you have been able to see that as well. But any obstacle or roadblock was really put in place because they were protecting you or steering you away from something that may have been harmful to you and putting you onto a better path. So hopefully you guys resonate with that as well. Hopefully you've been able to download new messages of what else you want to be doing in the future. Now with the retrograde ended, we can truly start to take action again, make plans, move forward. I definitely do want to say though that even though the retrograde has officially ended, the energy will continue for the next couple of days. So I definitely caution you guys to still take it slow, at least for this week. And especially if you have anything important to do around technology or communication, like perhaps you need to make an important presentation. If you can, I definitely would schedule it starting from next week, just so we can allow the retrograde energy to fully die down. Don't worry about it if you have something coming up, but if in case you can plan for it, this is a week to still be gentle and gingerly with Mercury things. In other retrograde news, we have two important planets going retrograde this week. One is Jupiter, which started retrograding on June 20th and will continue until October 18th. Then we also have Neptune going retrograde on June 25th, and that will stay until December 1st. And so it's really interesting to see these two planets going retrograde at essentially the same time, because both of these planets really represents growth, self-discovery, self-expansion, spiritual growth and spiritual expansion, and just spiritual enlightenment. It's also interesting that these two planets are both in the sign of Pisces, which is really that sign of transcendence and connection to a higher power. And so I definitely think this is a really exciting time during the retrograde, really reactivating internal memories within us that we are truly spiritual beings and that each of us are born with an innate connection to God or higher power or spirit, and that we can truly connect to the other side using our bodies. And so I definitely feel like a retrograde, again, retrogrades focus on the past, and so this is going to bring up past memories, soul memories, that we all have these capabilities and that we can all connect to a greater purpose. And so I definitely feel like this is going to be really exciting, enlightening, and healing for a lot of us, truly activating our spiritual side, a time of awakening. But before we get there to the ultimate goal, before we can truly step into that light, we just have to take the most basic first step. And the first step towards spiritual growth and spiritual enlightenment is just to focus on what brings us joy, to really consciously realign to things that make us feel happy, that make us feel excited. Again, like I said before, we're almost conditioned and programmed by society to do things we dread just because it pays the bills, just because that's what other people do, just because you need to get a degree to get a real job, whatever it is. We are conditioned from birth to ignore our joy, ignore our sense of excitement about the world, the things that make us want to take risks and do things that are out of our comfort zone. And so the first step towards this time is to really consciously think about how you can better align to your joy every single day. Do you wake up feeling really upset because you don't want to go to your job or because you have certain relationships in your life that are toxic? If so, how can you take actual practical steps to remove yourself from that energy or from those situations? Because it is truly only when we are at a place of peace and contentment do we really vibrate on an energetic level that is high enough to reach spirit and to gain that sense of purpose and connection, and to be able to be guided in ways that are spiritually minded. And so this is really the time to get to that place of contentment. Again, the more that we focus on what is normally done or what is practically accepted by society, the more that we tend to put off energies of dread and just fear, anxiety. Those energies really get reflected in our reality. And so again, these two retrogrades, I definitely feel like are a time that challenges us to consciously remove any source of negativity in your life. So a big focus of this time is to consciously realign to things that bring us joy and excitement. Another big theme is to work towards having some kind of routine where you can experience joy every day, where you can experience joy consistently. And with this, I definitely want to emphasize the understanding that joy and happiness is a choice as much as it is just emotions that we feel. We choose to do things that make us happy, or we choose to do things that make us feel anxious. Joy is a choice. And with that, we need to make that decision every single day. Some of you guys may need to realize that this is now the time to stop playing the victim. And I say this in the most loving way because I personally have also realized through the last eclipses how much I was playing the victim in my housing situation. How much I was allowing myself to feel totally powerless, totally out of control, and totally just beholden to all the negative, tensions currently in my life, instead of taking conscious, actionable, practical steps to do something about it and to change something about it. And I definitely feel like this retrograde will help us remember that we are truly the creators of our reality. We are the one in charge. We are the one with all the power. We do not need to play the victims in our own stories. We can rewrite things as is important and needed for us. So I definitely encourage you guys to do some self-reflection on whether you have been playing the victim or just allowing your power to be taken away from you. Those are all important themes to do some deep internal self-reflection on. Remember that you create your own reality. You do not need to be the victim in your own story. Also, I want to say with Neptune especially that there can be a tendency for us in our lives to act as the martyr, where we feel like we need to sacrifice ourselves and sacrifice our emotions, our well-being, our health for other people. And so if that is something that you are doing where you are sacrificing yourself for other people, for their needs out of obligation or duty or fear, again, this is also the time to not play that role. The more that you sacrifice your own happiness, the more that you attract opportunities and situations where that role needs to continue. And so the more that you can almost be selfish meaning that we prioritize our own health and well-being, the more that you will attract other opportunities where your health and emotions are respected rather than denigrated. And so again, we really truly want to be vibrating on the level of the things that we want in our lives. Sacrificing yourselves, being the martyr or being the victim is only attracting those similar types of experiences into your life. And this is really the time to change your direction and realize that greater things can come when we listen to ourselves rather than what other people want of us. The final important event that I want to update you guys is the full moon in Capricorn that will happen tomorrow, June 24th, and it will become exact at 2:40 p.m. Eastern Time. So we have an exciting full moon coming up, and this one is in Capricorn, which really emphasizes a focus on Capricorn themes: work, career, professional achievement, and success. And you can kind of see how this is a counterbalance to everything we just talked about with Cancer and the retrogrades. But this full moon is going to illuminate that side of life and make things easier to see there. It is also going to highlight our personal relationship to themes of authority or structures in our lives. So it's going to highlight certain authority figures that have an undue influence on our life. It's going to highlight certain structures or rules that we are holding ourselves to, that we are using to limit ourselves. These rules and structures usually come from society standards, what the mainstream wants. It also comes from authority figures like our parents, our bosses. And so it's really going to highlight all of those sides of life. And I think one challenge for this full moon is to really reflect on how some of these themes are represented in ourselves, and reflect on how we may exhibit some of the shadow sides of Capricorn. Full moons are always about releasing and letting go of things. So this is really the time to release any Capricorn tendencies that we have in ourselves that are not really in our highest good. And so when I think of that, the typical shadow sides of Capricorn are workaholism. Capricorn rules career, rules your job, but they tend to be too focused on practical success and practical achievement over their own emotions or what feels good to them mentally and spiritually. And so letting go of workaholism, ruthless ambition, prioritizing your job over other aspects of your life. It can also mean if you have a tendency to see emotions as a sign of weakness. Maybe you are someone who judges other people for being emotional. That really just means that you do not know how to productively process your own emotions. So this is also a push for you to allow yourself to feel things and to express them genuinely. This might be a time to reflect on how you can better wear your heart on your sleeves during times when it is appropriate for you to do so. So any things that may need to be released around workaholism, seeing emotions as something to be pushed away. I feel like the main crux or focus, conflict of this full moon is the battle between the need to accomplish and achieve versus the need to relax and receive. These are the dichotomy at hand. And you can see how this really translates into, at the core, it really distills down to the battle between the masculine and the feminine. Needing to achieve versus needing to just feel, be, and receive. We need both the feminine and masculine principles for the world to go round. It's not necessarily that masculine principles are negative or are something to be shunned. We definitely need the masculine principle as much as we need the feminine principle. But what has become in our society is a tendency to overemphasize the masculine principle. The need to accomplish, achieve, sometimes at the expense of other people's emotions, at the expense of yourself, doing things logically and without thinking about how that hurts other people. That tendency has really been overemphasized by society and by capitalism. And so it's almost like a muscle that we've grown too big. We need to figure out how to relax this muscle while also growing this muscle. And you can see how it's represented in astrology with Capricorn representing the masculine principle and Cancer representing the feminine principle. We are in Cancer season, and so we really need to be focusing our conscious attention and our thoughts on this side of life more. The fact that when we relax and allow ourselves to rest, that is truly when we are in a state of receiving. Only when we are fully relaxed and peaceful and not stressed can we receive messages, guidance from the other side, from spirit. We can allow ourselves to be supported rather than feeling the masculine principle, which is the need that we need to go out there and we need to make things happen for ourselves. We need to check things off our list and we need to plan and do all the practical things needed to get there. Again, Cancer season is going to give us a permission to prioritize this side of life over this. But a big theme of the full moon is that we need to consciously think about how the overemphasis of masculine principles shows up in our life. So I think the full moon is really a great time to journal about these ideas. Journal about how you identify with the shadow sides of Capricorn that I just mentioned. How do you identify with them? Where in your life do they show up, whether it's your job or with your relationships? Journal about how it shows up for you. And also think about where you have learned these rules about how we need to behave or what is important in life. Where have we learned it from? Where do we get these ideas from? Is it authentic to ourselves or is it coming from other people? Whatever it is, I definitely feel like taking time to journal is going to be an important exercise for this moon because Capricorn is an earth sign. So sometimes it helps to get out our thoughts and emotions onto a physical form, like a piece of paper, like actually writing it out, because it helps us relate to it better. So again, journal about how you relate to these themes and where you have learned them from. Another big theme after you journal about them may be to then write about how you can change or set new boundaries and rules for ourselves. Again, we tend to take on the rules of society and of other people, but what are our own personal rules? What are our own personal boundaries or limitations that we need other people to honor? It's almost like a code of conduct for yourself and how you relate to other people. And so it can definitely be useful for you to write down your own rules, your own structures, your own boundaries that you need other people to respect. Another big theme of the moon, I think, is also to help rewrite the rules of society and the rules that are imposed by other people. And so how can you participate in the collective movement to rewrite what it means to have a real job or to be a productive member of society? How can you help other people feel supported, that they do not have to follow what has traditionally been done or traditionally considered accepted? It's all about writing new rules for yourself and rewriting the rules of the old. My final tip for this moon is that full moons can also be a time of culmination where we really reap the outcome, the success of something that we've been really working hard on or some project that we've been putting a lot of effort into. And so just know that this full moon can really bring a time of culmination, of an outcome, and really of celebration. So with that thought, I definitely encourage all of you guys to take some time to celebrate how much you have accomplished in the last couple of months, in the last couple of years, whatever it might be, but really take the time to celebrate your hard work and your achievements, what Capricorn really wants, because so often we tend to only focus on the future and what more we need to do rather than seeing how much we have accomplished so far. Again, another thing that society teaches us is that we need to continue progressing forward. By Cancer, all about the past, all about memories. We need to reflect on how far we have come. And with this, I definitely encourage all of you guys to do something called a past life meditation or a past self meditation, where you think about where you were, who you were a couple months ago, a couple years ago, see where you are now, and think about what your past self would think of you now. My past self would be amazed that I'm on Instagram talking about astrology back when I was at my corporate job in real estate, hating my life and thinking it was so not beneficial to society. And so those are some of the things I want you to do, is to think about how far you've come, what your past self would think of you now, and how much you have to celebrate. So hopefully all that can be really helpful. I'm really excited for what more is to come in July, in the rest of the year. So I will definitely continue to update you guys. But with that, let me know if you have any questions, and I hope everyone has a wonderful, amazing day.